Welcome to Boring History for Sleep, where the past unfolds slowly, like a scroll, revealing its secrets under the flicker of lantern light. Tonight, we invite you to leave the rush of the modern world behind and step into the tranquil, yet unyielding, rhythm of 17th century Japan time, known as the Edo period, when villages thrived under the watchful eyes of samurai lords, and every life was bound by duty, nature, and tradition. This is not a tale of battles or emperors, but of the quiet struggles, hidden truths, and intricate patterns of existence that shaped a world so different from our own. Picture yourself settling into a moment of calm, your breath slowing, your mind easing, as we journey through the fields, markets, and myths of Edo Japan. Let the details wash over you like a gentle tide, carrying you toward rest. We'll walk the muddy paths of a peasant village, trace the steps of a legendary swordsman, and uncover the mysteries of a fading culture. Each story is a thread in the tapestry of the past, woven to guide you into relaxation, perhaps even sleep. So, close your eyes if you wish, or simply let your thoughts drift. Imagine yourself in a world of rice paddies and lantern-lit nights, where life moved to the rhythm of seasons and honor. Let us begin with the hidden truths of life in a 17th century Japanese village, where every day was a testament to endurance and resilience. As the rice paddies of the village fade into the twilight, we turn our gaze to a different figure in the tapestry of Edo Japan, a man whose life was shaped not by the plow, but by the sword. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, a swordsman, philosopher, and wanderer whose legend has endured for centuries. Yet behind the myths lies a story of discipline, solitude, and quiet reflection. A journey that unfolded across the early years of the 17th century, when Japan was finding its footing under the new shogunate. Let us walk beside Musashi, tracing the steps of a man who sought mastery not only over his blade, but over himself. Imagine a young Musashi born around 1584 in the province of Harima, a land of rolling hills and scattered villages. His early years were marked by unrest as Japan's warring states period drew to a close. The air was thick with the tension of samurai clans vying for power, their banners fluttering over battlefields where loyalty and betrayal intertwined. Musashi's father was a skilled swordsman, and from him the boy learned the weight of a blade, the balance of a stance, the rhythm of combat. But his childhood was not one of ease. Family disputes and the loss of his parents left him to fend for himself, a young man with little but his skill and his resolve. By the age of 13, Musashi fought his first duel, facing a seasoned warrior named Arima Kihei. Picture the scene: a clearing outside a village, the ground damp from recent rain, the air heavy with anticipation. Musashi, lanky and unpolished, gripped his wooden bakken, his eyes fixed on his opponent. The duel was brief, and when it ended, Arima lay defeated, his pride shattered. Musashi walked away, his reputation beginning to take root. This moment, though fleeting, set the course of his life, a path of challenges, each one a step toward refining his art. As he grew, Musashi became a ronin, a masterless samurai, unbound by loyalty to any lord. He wandered the countryside, his straw hat shielding him from the sun, his two swords, katana, and a shorter wakizashi tucked into his belt. The roads he traveled were dusty and winding, flanked by cedar groves and rice fields, where farmers paused to watch him pass. He sought out opponents, not for glory, but to test himself, to hone his technique. His duels were not spectacles of chaos, but measured exchanges, each movement deliberate, each strike a question posed to his adversary. One of his most famous encounters came in 1612 on the shores of Ganru Island against Sasaki Kajiro, a swordsman renowned for his swift, elegant style. Imagine the early morning mist curling over the water, the crunch of pebbles underfoot, the distant cry of a gull. Musashi arrived late, some say deliberately, carrying a bakken carved from a boat's, or Kajiro, clad in fine robes, wielded a long, gleaming katana. The duel was over in moments. Kajiro fell, his skill no match for Musashi's precision, and the waves lapped quietly at the shore as Musashi turned away. The victory was not celebrated, but absorbed, another lesson in a life of constant learning. Yet Musashi's story is not only one of combat. As he aged, he sought deeper truths, retreating to the solitude of mountains and caves. Picture him in a small hermitage, the air cool and damp, the walls of rock lit by a single candle. Here, he wrote, his brush moving slowly across rice paper, capturing the principles of his swordsmanship and his philosophy. His Book of 5 Rings, composed near the end of his life, is not a manual of war, but a meditation on strategy, discipline, and the harmony of opposites. He wrote of the void, a state of clarity where instinct and intellect become one, a concept as elusive as the wind through a bamboo grove. Musashi's later years were spent in service to lords, teaching his art and designing gardens, his hands as skilled with a rake as with a sword. He painted 2-ink washes of birds and landscapes, each stroke a reflection of his inner calm. By the time of his death in 1645, in a quiet room in Kumamoto, he was no longer just a swordsman, but a sage, a man who had sought to understand the world through the lens of his blade. His passing was unmarked by fanfare, his body laid to rest as the world moved on, yet his words and deeds lingered like ripples on a still pond. The life of Miyamoto Musashi was one of contrasts, action and stillness, violence and contemplation, solitude and legacy. He was a man of his time, shaped by the codes of the samurai, yet he transcended it, leaving behind ideas that echo even now. As we leave Musashi's story, let us carry forward this sense of quiet reflection, turning now to a different thread in the fabric of Edo Japana mystery that lies not in the clash of swords, but in the fading traces of a people whose culture was all but lost. And so, we step away from the solitary path of the swordsman and venture north to the lands of the Innu, Japan's indigenous people, whose way of life holds secrets that archaeologists and historians still seek to unravel. Let us explore the mystery of their lost culture, a story woven with ritual, resilience, and the whispers of the past. As the northern whispers of the Innu fade into the mists of Hokkaido, we turn our gaze to the heart of Edo, Japan, where the pulse of a new era beats steadily under the Tokugawa shogunate's rule. It is the mid-17th century, a time of peace forged from the ashes of warring states. And in the city of Edo, now modern Tokyo, a life unfolds that stands in sharp contrast to the muddy toil of the village farmer. Imagine yourself not as a laborer bound to the fields, but as a low-ranking samurai, a man whose days are shaped by the weight of 2 swords, the code of Bushido, and an unyielding sense of duty. This is a world of privilege, yes, but also of discipline and quiet pressure, where honor is both a shield and a chain. Let us step into the life of a samurai in Edo, exploring its rhythms, its burdens, and its fleeting moments of serenity. Picture yourself waking in the pre-dawn stillness, the air cool and heavy with the scent of cedar and straw. Your home is modest, tucked into the samurai district of Edo, where narrow streets are lined with low wooden residences, their tiled roofs glistening with morning dew. The walls of your house are smooth, crafted from polished wood and clay, and the sliding screens of rice paper glow faintly with the first light of day. The tatami mats beneath your feet are woven tightly, their straw scent mingling with the faint trace of charcoal from last night's fire. This is no grand estate, but it is a step above the farmer's thatched hut, a space of order and restraint, reflecting your place in the hierarchy of this ordered world. You rise from a thin futon, your body stiff from yesterday's training, and kneel before a small alcove where a family heirloom rests, perhaps a lacquered sword stand or a scroll inscribed with a poem by your grandfather, a samurai like you. You light a stick of incense, its delicate smoke curling upward like a prayer, and bow your head, honoring your ancestors and seeking their strength for the day ahead. Your kimono, dyed a muted shade of indigo, is carefully folded nearby. You slip it on, its cotton smooth but patched in places, a reminder that your stipend, measured in koku of rice, is modest. Your 2 swords, a long katana and a shorter wakizashi, are tucked into your obi belt, their scabbards worn but polished, their weight a constant companion, a symbol of your rank and your readiness to serve. Breakfast is simple, served by your wife or a lone servant in a small room overlooking a tiny garden where a single pine tree sways gently. The meal is a bowl of steamed rice, its grains soft and warm, paired with miso soup, its broth cloudy with flecks of seaweed, and a small dish of pickled radish, its sharp bite waking your senses. You eat in silence, the clink of chopsticks against lacquered bowls blending with the soft rustle of your wife's kimono as she moves about the kitchen. Your children, if you have them, are already stirring, son practicing his letters, a daughter learning to sew, their futures tied to your ability to uphold the family's name. The samurai's household is a microcosm of duty, each member bound by their role, just as you are bound to your lord. Your morning is claimed by obligation. Today, your lord, a minor daimyo, whose domain lies far from Edo, has summoned you to his residence, a compound of sweeping roofs and gravel paths, its gates flanked by spearmen in lacquered armor. You set out, your sandals crunching on the packed earth of Edo's streets, the city waking around you like a slow, deliberate tide. The air carries the scent of grilled fish and charcoal smoke, mingling with the calls of vendors hawking tofu or straw hats. Commoners, merchants, artisans, laborers bow as you pass, their deference a reminder of your status, though you know their wealth often surpasses your own. The streets are a maze of wooden storefronts, their shutters creaking open, and canals where boats glide silently, their ripples catching the morning light. At the lord's residence, you enter a hall of polished cedar, its air heavy with the scent of wax and incense. You kneel on a woven cushion, your posture rigid. As samurai of higher rank discuss matters of governance, friars to a castle wall, a dispute over rice taxes, or preparations for the shogun's annual procession. Your role is to listen, to nod, to wait. Occasionally, you are assigned a task, inspecting a guard post, delivering a sealed letter, or training younger retainers. These duties are mundane but vital, each one a thread in the fabric of the shogunate's peace. The hours stretch long, the murmur of voices blending with the faint chirp of sparrows outside, and you maintain your composure, aware that a single lapse, ill-timed word, a careless glance could tarnish your reputation. Training is the heartbeat of your day, a ritual that keeps your body and mind sharp. Picture yourself in a dojo, its wooden floor worn smooth by countless footsteps, the air cool and slightly damp from an open window. You face a fellow samurai, your bakken gripped tightly, its wood warm in your hands. The practice is a dance of precision step, strike, parry, retreat, each movement flowing like water, each pause a moment of focus. Your master, an older samurai with a stern gaze, corrects your stance, his voice low but firm. Later, you practice archery, drawing a bow of bamboo and sinew. The arrows release a soft thrum that echoes in the quiet courtyard. Horsemanship follows, your steed's hooves drumming on the earth, though true battles are rare in this era of enforced peace. Your stipend sustains you, but only just. The rice allotted to you, perhaps 50 koku, a year feeds your family and pays for necessities, but luxuries are beyond reach. Merchants, forbidden to carry swords, yet flush with coin, flaunt silks and lacquered furniture, their wealth a silent affront to your pride. You avoid their shops, knowing that borrowing from them could trap you in debt, a shame that would cling like damp to your name. Some samurai, less fortunate, sell their swords or pawn their armor, their honor fraying like the hems of their kimonos. You guard against such a fate, your frugality a quiet act of defiance. Your interactions with other classes are governed by protocol. A merchant may bow deeply, but his eyes hold a flicker of calculation. A farmer, delivering rice to your lord's storehouse, averts his gaze, his hands calloused from years in the fields. You enforce the shogunate's laws, perhaps overseeing a market to ensure fair weights or questioning a traveler at a checkpoint. These tasks remind you of your role as a guardian of order, yet they also expose the fragility of that order. Whispers of unrest, rumors of bandits, or the growing influence of merchants who bend the rules with their wealth. Leisure, when it comes, is a balm for the soul. You visit a Zen temple, its garden a study in simplicity, raked gravel, a single stone, a moss-covered lantern. The air is thick with the scent of cedar and earth, and the chant of monks, low and rhythmic, soothes your mind. You sit in meditation, your breath slowing, your thoughts drifting like leaves on a stream. Or you join friends for a tea ceremony, the room small and unadorned, the act of whisking matcha, a meditation in itself. Each gesture, lifting the bowl, sipping the bitter green teas, deliberate, a reminder of the fleeting nature of each moment. At home, you practice calligraphy, your brush gliding across rice paper, the ink's sharp scent grounding you as you form characters with careful strokes. Family life is another duty, no less demanding than service to your lord. Your wife manages the household, her days filled with weaving, cooking, and teaching your children the virtues of loyalty and restraint. Your son, if old enough, trains with a wooden sword, his small frame mimicking your movements, his future as a samurai already mapped. Your daughter learns to play the koto, its plaintive notes drifting through the house, or studies poetry, her verses delicate but sharp. You guide them with a firm hand, knowing that their actions reflect on your honor. Yet, in quiet moments, you share stories of your own youth, the firelight softening the lines of your face, the laughter of your children, a rare and precious sound. The shadow of Bushido looms over all. Honor is your currency, more valuable than rice or coin, and its loss is a wound that does not heal. A careless word, a perceived slight, could demand satisfaction, though duels are rare and tightly controlled by the shogunate. The specter of seppuku, The ritual act of self-sacrifice hovers in the background, a last resort to restore a tarnished name, spoken of in hushed tones, but rarely seen. These are distant threats, yet they shape your every decision, a constant reminder that your life is not wholly your own. As night falls, you return home. The city, now a constellation of lanterns, their glow warm against the indigo sky. You kneel by the hearth, the fire's crackle mingling with the scent of burning pine, and listen to the soft voices of your family, a wife planning tomorrow's meals, a child reciting a poem. Outside, the crickets weave their endless song, and the distant hum of Edo fades into silence. This is the life of a samurai in Edo, a life of discipline and duty, of privilege tempered by sacrifice, a life that stands apart from the farmer's endless toil, yet carries its own quiet struggles, etched into the rhythm of each day. And so, we step away from the samurai's world of swords and honor, turning now to a different expression of Edo Japan's soul. Let us explore the art of ukiyo-e woodblock printing, a craft that captured the fleeting beauty of the floating world. Its colors and forms a testament to the creativity of an era bound by tradition, yet alive with imagination. Music shifts to a gentle koto melody, signaling the transition. As the disciplined world of the samurai fades into the lantern-lit streets of Edo, we turn our attention to a quieter, yet equally profound, expression of 17th century Japan. In the bustling workshops of the city, amidst the hum of urban life, a delicate art form was taking shape, one that captured the fleeting beauty of the world in vivid colors and intricate lines. This was ukiyo-e, the pictures of the floating world, a craft of woodblock printing that brought scenes of theaters, tea houses, and landscapes to life. Imagine yourself stepping into the dimly lit studio of an ukiyo-e artisan, where the air is thick with the scent of ink and cherry wood, and the rhythm of creation unfolds with patient precision. Let us explore the art of ukiyo-e woodblock printing, a process as meticulous as it was innovative, a reflection of an era that cherished the ephemeral. Picture a narrow street in Edo, its wooden storefronts pressed close, their signs swaying gently in the evening breeze. It is the late 1600s, and the city is alive with the energy of merchants, actors, and pleasure seekers drawn to the theaters and tea houses of the ukiyo-e, floating world of fleeting joys. Tucked among these bustling lanes is a small workshop, its sliding doors open to let in the cool air. Inside, the floor is strewn with wood shavings, and the walls are lined with stacks of rice paper, their edges curling slightly. The scent of camellia oil, used to mix pigments, mingles with the sharp tang of ink, creating an atmosphere both earthy and refined. The process of ukiyo-e begins with the artist, a master of brush and vision. Imagine a figure seated at a low table, his kimono sleeves tied back, his hands steady as he dips a brush into jet-black ink. He sketches a scene, perhaps a kabuki actor in mid-pose, his robes swirling, or a courtesan with an enigmatic smile, her hair adorned with lacquered combs. The lines are fluid yet precise, each stroke capturing the essence of the moment. These drawings are not the final work, but the blueprint, a guide for the artisans who will transform them into prints. The artist's role is revered, yet he is only one part of a collaborative dance, a process that binds multiple hands in pursuit of beauty. The sketch is passed to the block carver, a craftsman whose skill is as vital as the artist's vision. Picture him in the workshop's corner, surrounded by blocks of cherry wood, their surfaces sanded smooth, their grain tight and even. The wood is precious, sourced from mountain groves, and its quality determines the print's clarity. The carver pastes the artist's drawing onto the block, its ink lines faint but clear, and begins his work. His chisels, some as fine as needles, move with a steady rhythm, cutting away the wood to leave the design in raised relief. The sound is soft but constant, a tap, a scrape, a whisper of shavings falling to the floor. Each line must be perfect, for a single slip could ruin the block. Hours of labor lost in a moment. The carver creates a separate block for each color in the print, sometimes a dozen or more, each one a mirror of the artist's intent. The blocks are works of art in themselves, their surfaces etched with patterns that seem to breathe under the lamplight. The carver's hands are calloused, his eyes sharp despite the dimness, and his patience is a quiet force, shaping the wood with the same care a farmer tends his fields. The process is slow, often taking weeks for a single set of blocks, but there is no rush in this world, only the steady pursuit of precision. Next comes the printer, the final artisan in this delicate chain. Imagine her 4 women, 2, worked in these studios, standing at a low bench, her sleeves tied back, her hands stained with ink. She prepares the pigments, grinding minerals and plants into vibrant hues, indigo for the sky, safflower for a courtesan's lips, orpiment for a golden sun. The inks are mixed with rice paste, giving them a subtle sheen, and applied to the block with a horsehair brush, its bristles worn soft from use. The printer lays a sheet of rice paper, handmade and slightly textured, onto the inked block, then rubs it with a baron, a flat, corded tool that presses the paper into every groove. The motion is circular, rhythmic, almost meditative, the sound a soft rustle like leaves in the wind. Each color requires a new block, a new alignment, and the printer's eye is trained to ensure perfection. A slight misstep, a smudge, a shift in the paper could spoil the print, but her hands are steady, her focus unwavering. The finished print is a marvel, its colors vivid yet harmonious, its lines capturing the grace of a gaseous fan or the curve of a distant mountain. These prints are sold for a few coins, affordable even to commoners, and they adorn homes, tea houses, and merchant shops, bringing the floating world into everyday life. The subjects of ukiyo-e reflect the spirit of Edo's urban culture. Imagine the prints themselves, stacked in the workshop, their scenes a window into the city's soul. There are kabuki actors, their faces frozen in dramatic expressions, their costumes a riot of pattern and color. There are courtesans of the Yoshiwara pleasure district, their beauty idealized yet tinged with melancholy. There lives a blend of allure and confinement. Landscapes, too, find their place. Mount Fuji, under a blanket of snow, its peak serene against a twilight sky, or a river dotted with fishing boats, their sails catching the breeze. These images are not mere decoration, but a celebration of the transient, a reminder that beauty, like life, is fleeting. The innovation of ukiyo-e lies not only in its artistry, but in its reach. Before woodblock printing, art was the domain of the elite, painted on silk or screens for temples and castles. Ukiyo democratized beauty, making it accessible to merchants, artisans, and even the occasional farmer who saved a coin for a print. The technique itself evolved over time, with early prints in black and white giving way to single-color tints, then to the vibrant nishiki or brocade pictures of the 18th century. Each advance required new skills, new tools, and a deeper collaboration between artist, carver, and printer, a process as intricate as the prints themselves. Yet, the world of ukiyo-e was not without its shadows. The workshops were often cramped, the air heavy with the fumes of ink and oil, and the labor was relentless, with artisans working long hours to meet demand. Some artists, like the early master Morinobu, gained fame, but many carvers and printers toiled in anonymity, their names lost to history. The floating world they depicted was also a world of excess-drunken revels, fleeting romances, and the precarious lives of those who lived for pleasure. The shogunate, wary of such indulgences, occasionally censored prints, banning images deemed too bold or subversive, a reminder of the order that governed even this creative realm. As you imagine the workshop, the glow of a lantern casting soft shadows on the walls, you sense the quiet pride of these artisans. Their work was not merely a craft, but a meditation, a way of capturing the ephemeral in a world bound by tradition. The prints they created were like ripples on a pond, spreading beauty outward, touching lives far beyond the workshop's walls. To hold a ukiyo-e print was to hold a moment, frozen yet alive, a fragment of Edo's soul that endures even now in museums and collections, its colors still vivid, its lines still sharp. And so, we leave the ink-stained hands of the ukiyo artisans and turn to another facet of Edo Japan, one that shaped the lives of all who lived within its borders. Let us explore the strict social hierarchy of this era, a system of laws and customs that bound samurai, farmers, and merchants alike, its rules as unyielding as the mountains that framed the land. As the delicate colors of ukiyo-e prints fade into the quiet rhythm of the artisan's workshop, we turn our gaze to the invisible threads that bound every soul in 17th century Japan. In the Edo period, under the watchful rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, society was ordered with the precision of a Zen garden. Each person assigned a place, each role a stone in an unyielding pattern. This was the Shinoka-sho system, a hierarchy that ranked samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants in a structure as rigid as the mountains that framed the land. Imagine yourself moving through this world, where every bow, every word, every step was shaped by the unspoken rules of rank and duty. Let us explore the strict social hierarchy of Edo Japan, a system that governed lives from the highest lord to the humblest outcast, its laws a constant presence, like the shadow of a temple bell. Picture the city of Edo in the 1650s, its streets a tapestry of motion and order. The air is thick with the scent of charcoal smoke and grilled rice cakes, mingling with the calls of vendors and the creak of wooden carts. Samurai stride through the crowds, their swords glinting at their sides, their presence commanding respect. Farmers, their backs bent from years in the fields, deliver sacks of rice to storehouses, their eyes lowered. Artisans hammer iron or weave cloth in open workshops, their hands steady, their voices quiet. Merchants, their shops brimming with silks and sake, smile broadly but bow deeply, aware of their place. This is the surface of Edo's society, vibrant yet disciplined, where every interaction is a reflection of the hierarchy that holds it together. At the pinnacle of this order were the samurai, the shi, the warrior class who served as the shogunate's enforcers and the daimyo's retainers. Imagine yourself standing in a marketplace, watching a samurai pass, his kimono crisp, his posture unyielding. He is not merely a man, but a symbol of authority, his two swords a reminder of the power he wields. Samurai made up less than 1/10 of the population, yet their influence was absolute. They governed villages, collected taxes, and maintained the peace, their loyalty to their lord and the shogun a sacred bond. Their privileges were many: no taxes, the right to carry weapons, the authority to punish commoners for disrespect. But their lives were bound by bushido, a code that demanded discipline and sacrifice. A samurai's honor was fragile, and a single misstep could bring shame, or worse, the expectation of ritual atonement. Below the samurai were the farmers, the backbone of Japan's economy. Picture a village at harvest time, the air heavy with the scent of cut rice stalks, the fields alive with families working in unison. Farmers were valued for their role in feeding the nation, their labor producing the rice that sustained samurai stipends and filled the shogunate's coffers. In theory, they were honored, second only to the warrior class, but in practice, their lives were grueling. Taxes claimed half or more of their crops, and failure to pay could lead to punishment, confiscation of land, public humiliation, or, in rare cases, harsher measures. Farmers were forbidden to leave their villages without permission, their lives tethered to the land, their place in the hierarchy both essential and unyielding. Next came the artisans, the ko, whose hands shaped the tools, clothes, and art of Edo Japan. Imagine a street of workshops, the air filled with the tap of hammers and the hum of spinning wheels. A potter shapes clay into a teacup, its curve simple yet perfect. A weaver threads silk into a kimono, her loom clicking softly. Artisans were skilled, their work admired, but their status was lower than the farmers who fed the nation. They lived in towns and cities, their lives more varied than the rural toil of the peasantry, but they were subject to strict regulations. Guilds controlled their trade, and taxes weighed on their earnings. Their creations, from lacquered boxes to ukiyo prints, brought beauty to the world, but their place in the hierarchy was fixed, their contributions valued yet subordinate. At the bottom of the official hierarchy were the merchants, the show, whose wealth belied their lowly rank. Picture a bustling market in Osaka, its stalls laden with bolts of cloth, jars of sake, and stacks of copper coins. A merchant, his sleeves stained with ink from tallying accounts, bows to a samurai, his smile practiced but cautious. Merchants were seen as parasitic, profiting without producing, and thus ranked lowest among the four classes. Yet, as Edo's economy grew, so did their influence. They lent money to samurai who could not engage in trade, and built grand houses filled with luxuries the warrior class could only envy. The shogunate distrusted their power, imposing restrictions on their dress and behavior. No silk kimonos, no swords yet. Their coin shaped the city, a quiet challenge to the hierarchy's rigidity. Beyond these four classes lay those who existed outside the system entirely, the ita and hinin, outcasts who performed tasks deemed impure, such as tanning leather or burying the dead. Imagine a shadowed alley in Edo where an Ita family lives, their home a lean-to of scavenged wood, the air heavy with the stench of their trade. They were shunned, forbidden to mingle with others, their lives a constant struggle against stigma. The hinin, often beggars or itinerant performers, fared little better, their existence precarious, their place unmarked in the official order. These outcasts were a reminder of the hierarchy's reach, its rules extending even to those it excluded. The laws that enforced this system were as intricate as a calligraphy scroll, written in the shogunate's edicts and enforced by samurai officials. Imagine a checkpoint on a road leading out of Edo, where travelers present permits, their papers stamped with red seals. Movement was restricted. Farmers could not abandon their fields. Samurai could not travel without their lord's consent, and merchants faced scrutiny at every turn. Sumptuary laws dictated what each class could wear or own. A farmer's kimono was hemp, a merchant's cotton, a samurai's silk, though only if his rank allowed. Public behavior was police disrespect to a samurai could bring swift punishment, a fine, or, in extreme cases, a life cut short, though such measures were rare and tightly controlled. Punishments were a tool of order, designed to maintain harmony rather than sow fear. Picture a village square where a farmer stands, head bowed, as the headman reads a sentence for unpaid taxes, a public shaming. Perhaps a day in wooden stocks, the weight of the community's gaze heavier than the wood itself. For samurai, breaches of honor were judged privately, often by their lord, and might lead to house arrest, or, in grave cases, an order to restore their name through ritual means. The shogunate's justice was not capricious but deliberate, a balance of mercy and severity, ensuring the hierarchy endured. Yet, within this rigid structure, there were moments of fluidity. A wealthy merchant might marry his daughter to a samurai's son, her dowry easing the warrior's debts, their union a bridge between classes. A skilled artisan might gain favor with a daimyo, his work earning him a measure of respect. Even farmers, bound to their fields, could appeal to their lord for leniency in hard years, their petitions written on rice paper and delivered with a bow. These small acts of negotiation, like ripples on a still pond, softened the edges of the hierarchy without breaking it. The Shinokoa-sho system was more than a set of rules. It was the heartbeat of Edo Japan, shaping every interaction, every ambition, every life. To live within it was to accept its weight, to find meaning in one's place, whether as a samurai wielding power, a farmer feeding the land, an artisan crafting beauty, or a merchant counting coins. As you imagine this world, its streets alive with the quiet rhythm of order, you sense the delicate balance that held it together, a balance that was both its strength and its fragility. And so, we leave the structured world of Edo's hierarchy and step into a different pulse of the city, the vibrant markets of Osaka, where trade and commerce brought the classes together in a dance of exchange and ambition. Let us explore a day in these bustling bazaars, where the air was thick with a sense of spice and opportunity. As the rigid lines of Edo's social hierarchy fade into the ordered stillness of its streets, we turn our attention to a different rhythm in 17th century Japan, a pulse of commerce and connection that thrived in the city of Osaka, the merchant heart of the Edo period. Here, in the sprawling markets of this thriving port, the air was alive with the scents of sesame oil, dried fish, and opportunity. Imagine yourself stepping into this world, not as a samurai bound by honor or a farmer tied to the fields, but as a merchant navigating the vibrant chaos of Osaka's bazaars. Your day is one of haggling, calculation, and quiet ambition, a life woven into the ebb and flow of trade. Let us explore a day in the markets of Osaka, where every coin and every bargain told a story of a nation bound by exchange. Picture yourself rising at dawn in a modest house near Osaka's Dotonbori Canal, its waters lapping gently against stone embankments. The year is the 1660s, and the city is awakening, its air cool and heavy with the scent of river mist and charcoal smoke. Your home is narrow but sturdy, its wooden beams darkened by years of hearth fires, its tatami mats worn but clean. The faint glow of a paper lantern illuminates a small alcove where you keep your abacus, its beads polished smooth from daily use. You slip on a cotton kimono, its deep blue fabric, practical yet neatly tailored, and tie a cloth around your head to keep the sweat at bay. As a merchant, you carry no swords, but your mind is your weapon, sharp and ready for the day's transactions. Your morning begins with a simple meal, a bowl of rice sprinkled with sesame seeds, a sliver of grilled mackerel, and a cup of barley tea. Its earthy warmth steadying your nerves. Your wife, already busy tallying yesterday's sales, sets the table with quiet efficiency, the clink of pottery blending with the distant calls of boatmen on the canal. Osaka is a city of trade, its rivers and canals a lifeline for goods from across Japan and beyond, sake from Kyoto, silk from the north, rice from the countryside. Your shop, a small stall in the heart of the Tenma market, is your domain, and today you prepare to sell bolts of dyed cotton, a commodity in demand by townsfolk and samurai alike. You step out into the morning, the streets already stirring with activity. The cobblestones are damp from an overnight rain, and the air carries the sharp temps of soy sauce from a nearby brewery. As you walk toward the market, you pass wooden storefronts, their shutters swinging open to reveal stacks of pottery, baskets of dried seaweed, and barrels of pickled plums. Boatmen pole their flat-bottomed vessels along the canal, their loads of rice sacks swaying gently, while porters balance crates on their shoulders, their steps steady despite the weight. The city hums with purpose, a symphony of voices and movement. Yet there is an order to it, a rhythm that guides the chaos. The Tenmei market is a sprawling maze of stalls, its wooden awnings casting dappled shadows on the ground. You arrive at your stall, a narrow space wedged between a fishmonger and a vendor of straw sandals. Your bolts of cotton, dyed in shades of indigo and persimmon, are neatly stacked, their colors vibrant in the morning light. You arrange them with care, smoothing the fabric with your hands, their texture soft but sturdy. A small brazier glows nearby, its warmth cutting the morning chill, and the scent of burning pine mingles with the briny aroma of the fishmonger's wares. You string up a Norin curtain, its split fabric fluttering gently, signaling that your shop is open. The market comes alive as the sun climbs higher. Picture the crowd, a samurai inspecting a bolt of cloth, his fingers tracing the weave, his retainer trailing behind. A farmer's wife clutching a few coins, her eyes scanning for a bargain. An artisan pausing to barter for thread, his hands stained with clay. The air is thick with the sounds of commerce vendors calling out their wares. The clatter of wooden clogs, the soft clink of copper coins changing hands. You greet each customer with a practiced smile, your voice calm but persuasive, offering a length of cotton for a kimono or a sash. Haggling is an art, a dance of offers and counter-offers, and you know when to yield and when to hold firm, your abacus clicking softly as you tally each sale. Trade in Osaka is not without its challenges. The shogunate's laws weigh heavily on merchants. Despite their wealth, you pay taxes on your earnings, and sumptuary edicts forbid you from wearing silk or flaunting your prosperity, a reminder of your place below the samurai and even the farmers. Guilds control the market, setting prices and settling disputes, and you attend their meetings in a cramped hall, the air heavy with the scent of ink and old wood, nodding as the guild master reads the latest decrees. A bad season floods, ruining the cotton harvest, or pirates disrupting sea routes could thin your stock, and you keep a careful ledger, its pages filled with neat columns of figures to guard against lean times. Yet, there are moments of connection in this bustling world. Imagine a regular customer, a tea house owner with a quick laugh, who buys cloth for her servers, aprons. You share a cup of tea, its steam rising in the cool air. and exchange stories of the city, rumors of a new kabuki play, news of a daimyo's visit, or picture a traveling monk, his robes patched, who pauses to offer a blessing in exchange for a small length of cloth. These interactions, fleeting but warm, weave you into the fabric of Osaka, a city where trade is not just commerce but community. The market is a crossroads of cultures, too. Goods from distant lands, Chinese porcelain, Korean ginseng, even Dutch glassware pass through Osaka's ports, carried by ships that dock along the Yodo River. You handle a bale of cotton from Kyushu, its fibers tight and smooth, and barter with a Ryukyuan trader for a jar of turmeric, its golden powder sharp on the tongue. These exchanges broaden your world, though you rarely leave the city, your life rooted in the market's daily rhythm. The shogunate watches foreign trade closely, and samurai inspectors patrol the docks, their eyes sharp for smuggled goods. But within the market's bounds, you move freely, your stall a small island in a sea of commerce. As the day wears on, the sun climbs high, its heat tempered by a breeze off the canal. You pause to eat a quick lunchy rice ball wrapped in seaweed, its saltiness refreshing, and a pickled plum, its tang cutting through the market's dust. The crowd thins briefly, then surges again, and you work steadily, your voice growing hoarse from calling out prices. A samurai haggles sharply, his rank giving him leverage, and you concede a discount, bowing low as he departs. A child, sent by her mother, buys a scrap of cloth for a doll, her coins warm from her small hand, and you slip her an extra piece, her smile a quiet reward. By late afternoon, the market begins to quiet, the vendors packing their wares, the air now heavy with the scent of grilled eel from a nearby stall. You tally your sales, your abacus beads sliding smoothly, and note the day's earnings in your ledger, the ink drying slowly in the fading light. The profit is modest, but enough to buy rice, pay the guild's dues, and save a coin for your daughter's dowry. You sweep the stall, the broom's bristles whispering against the wooden floor, and lower the Norin curtain, its fabric swaying as the day's work ends. As you walk home along the canal, the city is bathed in the golden glow of dusk, the water reflecting the first lanterns flickering to life. The sounds of the market fade the vendors' calls, the clink of coins, the rustle of cloth placed by the soft lapping of the river, and the distant strum of a shamisen from a tea house. This is the life of a merchant in Osaka's markets, a life of calculation and connection, of ambition tempered by restraint, a life that hums with the pulse of a city where trade wove the classes together, if only for a moment. Pause, biwa, plucks, soften, blending with the faint sound of water against a canal's edge. And so, we leave the vibrant markets of Osaka and turn to a different thread in the tapestry of Edo Japan's story, not of commerce, but of storytelling itself. Let us explore the tale of Genji, Japan's first novel, a work of prose and poetry that captured the heart of the courtly world, its words a gentle echo of lives long past. As the rigid lines of Edo's social hierarchy fade into the ordered stillness of its streets, we turn our attention to a different rhythm in 17th century Japan, a pulse of commerce and connection that thrived in the city of Osaka, the merchant heart of the Edo period. Here, in the sprawling markets of this thriving port, the air was alive with the scents of sesame oil, dried fish, and opportunity. Imagine yourself stepping into this world, not as a samurai bound by honor or a farmer tied to the fields, but as a merchant navigating the vibrant chaos of Osaka's bazaars. Your day is one of haggling, calculation, and quiet ambition, a life woven into the ebb and flow of trade. Let us explore a day in the markets of Osaka, where every coin and every bargain told a story of a nation bound by exchange. Picture yourself rising at dawn in a modest house near Osaka's Dotonbori Canal, its waters lapping gently against stone embankments. The year is the 1660s, and the city is awakening, its air cool and heavy with the scent of river mist and charcoal smoke. Your home is narrow but sturdy, its wooden beams darkened by years of hearth fires, its tatami mats worn but clean. The faint glow of a paper lantern illuminates a small alcove where you keep your abacus, its beads polished smooth from daily use. You slip on a cotton kimono, its deep blue fabric, practical yet neatly tailored, and tie a cloth around your head to keep the sweat at bay. As a merchant, you carry no swords, but your mind is your weapon, sharp and ready for the day's transactions. Your morning begins with a simple meal, a bowl of rice sprinkled with sesame seeds, a sliver of grilled mackerel, and a cup of barley tea, its earthy warmth steadying your nerves. Your wife, already busy tallying yesterday's sales, sets the table with quiet efficiency, the clink of pottery blending with the distant calls of boatmen on the canal. Osaka is a city of trade, its rivers and canals a lifeline for goods from across Japan and beyond, sake from Kyoto, silk from the north, rice from the countryside. Your shop, a small stall in the heart of the Tenma market, is your domain, and today you prepare to sell bolts of dyed cotton, a commodity in demand by townsfolk and samurai alike. You step out into the morning, the streets already stirring with activity. The cobblestones are damp from an overnight rain, and the air carries the sharp temps of soy sauce from a nearby brewery. As you walk toward the market, you pass wooden storefronts, their shutters swinging open to reveal stacks of pottery, baskets of dried seaweed, and barrels of pickled plums. Boatmen pole their flat-bottomed vessels along the canal, their loads of rice sacks swaying gently, while porters balance crates on their shoulders, their steps steady despite the weight. The city hums with purpose, a symphony of voices and movement. Yet there is an order to it, a rhythm that guides the chaos. The Tenmei market is a sprawling maze of stalls, its wooden awnings casting dappled shadows on the ground. You arrive at your stall, a narrow space wedged between a fishmonger and a vendor of straw sandals. Your bolts of cotton, dyed in shades of indigo and persimmon, are neatly stacked, their colors vibrant in the morning light. You arrange them with care, smoothing the fabric with your hands, their texture soft but sturdy. A small brazier glows nearby, its warmth cutting the morning chill, and the scent of burning pine mingles with the briny aroma of the fishmonger's wares. You string up a Norin curtain, its split fabric fluttering gently, signaling that your shop is open. The market comes alive as the sun climbs higher. Picture the crowd, a samurai inspecting a bolt of cloth, his fingers tracing the weave, his retainer trailing behind. A farmer's wife clutching a few coins, her eyes scanning for a bargain. An artisan pausing to barter for thread, his hands stained with clay. The air is thick with the sounds of commerce vendors calling out their wares, the clatter of wooden clogs, the soft clink of copper coins changing hands. You greet each customer with a practiced smile, your voice calm but persuasive, offering a length of cotton for a kimono or a sash. Haggling is an art, a dance of offers and counter-offers, and you know when to yield and when to hold firm, your abacus clicking softly as you tally each sale. trade in Osaka is not without its challenges. The shogunate's laws weigh heavily on merchants. Despite their wealth, you pay taxes on your earnings, and sumptuary edicts forbid you from wearing silk or flaunting your prosperity, a reminder of your place below the samurai and even the farmers. Guilds control the market, setting prices and settling disputes, and you attend their meetings in a cramped hall, the air heavy with the scent of ink and old wood, nodding as the guild master reads the latest decrees. A bad season floods, ruining the cotton harvest, or pirates disrupting sea routes could thin your stock, and you keep a careful ledger, its pages filled with neat columns of figures to guard against lean times. Yet, there are moments of connection in this bustling world. Imagine a regular customer, a tea house owner with a quick laugh, who buys cloth for her servers' aprons. You share a cup of tea, its steam rising in the cool air, and exchange stories of the city, rumors of a new kabuki play, news of a daimyo's visit, or picture a traveling monk, his robes patched, who pauses to offer a blessing in exchange for a small length of cloth. These interactions, fleeting but warm, weave you into the fabric of Osaka, a city where trade is not just commerce but community. The market is a crossroads of cultures, too. Goods from distant lands, Chinese porcelain, Korean ginseng, even Dutch glassware pass through Osaka's ports, carried by ships that dock along the Yodo River. You handle a bale of cotton from Kyushu, its fibers tight and smooth, and barter with a Ryukyuan trader for a jar of turmeric, its golden powder sharp on the tongue. These exchanges broaden your world, though you rarely leave the city, your life rooted in the market's daily rhythm. The shogunate watches foreign trade closely, and samurai inspectors patrol the docks, their eyes sharp for smuggled goods. But within the market's bounds, you move freely, your stall a small island in a sea of commerce. As the day wears on, the sun climbs high, its heat tempered by a breeze off the canal. You pause to eat a quick lunchy rice ball wrapped in seaweed, its saltiness refreshing, and a pickled plum, its tang cutting through the market's dust. The crowd thins briefly, then surges again, and you work steadily, your voice growing hoarse from calling out prices. A samurai haggles sharply, his rank giving him leverage, and you concede a discount, bowing low as he departs. A child, sent by her mother, buys a scrap of cloth for a doll, her coins warm from her small hand, and you slip her an extra piece, her smile a quiet reward. By late afternoon, the market begins to quiet, the vendors packing their wares, the air now heavy with the scent of grilled eel from a nearby stall. You tally your sales, your abacus beads sliding smoothly, and note the day's earnings in your ledger, the ink drying slowly in the fading light. The profit is modest, but enough to buy rice, pay the guild's dues, and save a coin for your daughter's dowry. You sweep the stall, the broom's bristles whispering against the wooden floor, and lower the Norin curtain, its fabric swaying as the day's work ends. As you walk home along the canal, the city is bathed in the golden glow of dusk, the water reflecting the first lanterns flickering to life. The sounds of the market fade the vendors' calls, the clink of coins, the rustle of cloth placed by the soft lapping of the river, and the distant strum of a shamisen from a tea house. This is the life of a merchant in Osaka's markets, a life of calculation and connection, of ambition tempered by restraint, a life that hums with the pulse of a city where trade wove the classes together, if only for a moment. And so, we leave the vibrant markets of Osaka and turn to a different thread in the tapestry of Edo Japan's story, not of commerce, but of storytelling itself. Let us explore the tale of Genji, Japan's first novel, a work of prose and poetry that captured the heart of the courtly world. Its words, a gentle echo of lives long past. As the delicate verses of the tale of Genji fade into the quiet glow of a lantern-lit room, we turn our attention to a moment in Edo, Japan's history that stirred the stillness of its ordered world. Far from the elegance of the Heian court or the bustling markets of Osaka in the southern region of Kyushu, a storm was brewing, a rebellion that would test the shogunate's iron grip and leave a lasting mark on the land. This was the Shimabara Rebellion of 1637, a desperate uprising of peasants and disenfranchised samurai, driven by hardship and faith, only to be met with the unyielding force of authority. Imagine yourself standing on the windswept hills of Shimabara, the air heavy with the scent of salt and earth, as we explore this somber chapter, a story of struggle and consequence woven into the fabric of a nation seeking peace. Picture the Shimabara Peninsula in the early 1630s, a rugged land of terraced fields and fishing villages, its coastline battered by the waves of the Ariake Sea. The region was under the rule of a local daimyo, Matsukura Katsui, whose governance was as harsh as the winter winds. The farmers here, like those across Japan, toiled in rice paddies, their hands calloused, their backs bent under the weight of endless labor. But in Shimabara, the burdens were heavier. Taxes were crushing, often exceeding half the harvest. And in lean years, when drought or storms ruined the crops, families were left with nothing. The air in the villages was thick with the scent of damp straw and despair, the hearths burning low as food grew scarce. Adding to this hardship was a religious undercurrent. Many in Shimabara had embraced Christianity, a faith brought by Portuguese missionaries decades earlier, before the shogunate's ban. Hidden in their homes, they prayed to forbidden icons, their voices hushed, their gatherings cloaked in secrecy. The daimyo, eager to prove his loyalty to the shogun, enforced the ban with zeal, rooting out believers with fines, imprisonment, or worse. Those caught faced public shame or exile, their lives disrupted, their communities fractured. The weight of these oppression taxes, hunger, and persecution grew unbearable, like a river pressing against a weakening dam. Into this tinderbox stepped a young leader, Amakusa Shiro, a 16-year-old charismatic figure known to his followers as a heaven-sent savior. Imagine him in a village square, his face youthful yet resolute, his voice steady as he spoke of hope and resistance. Shiro, born to a Christian family, was said to perform miracles, his presence drawing crowds of desperate peasants and ronin, masterless samurai who had lost their lords in the shogunate's consolidations. His message blended faith and defiance, promising relief from suffering through unity and action. The people rallied to him, their whispers of rebellion growing into a quiet resolve, like the first ripples of a gathering storm. The rebellion began in October 1637, sparked by a final act of cruelty, tax collectors seizing a farmer's daughter as payment for unpaid dues. Picture the scene: a village at dusk, the air heavy with the scent of burning rice stalks, as a crowd gathered their tools, hoes, sickles, fishing spears clutched in trembling hands. They attacked the daimyo's officials, their shouts echoing across the fields, and soon thousands joined, their numbers swelling to nearly 37,000. Castles and storehouses fell, their wooden gates splintered, their granaries opened to feed the hungry. The rebels, many untrained, moved with a desperate energy, their makeshift banners fluttering in the wind, their faith a shield against the fear of what lay ahead. The shogunate's response was swift and unyielding. The rebels, seeking refuge, fortified themselves in Hera Castle, an abandoned stronghold on the peninsula's coast. Imagine the castle's stone walls, weathered by sea spray, its ramparts crowded with men, women, and children, their faces gaunt but determined. The rebels held out, their supplies of rice and fish dwindling, their prayers rising into the cold night air. The shogunate, alarmed by the uprising's scale, sent an army of over 100,000, led by seasoned samurai and bolstered by Dutch cannons, a rare foreign intervention. The siege began in December, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder and the distant boom of artillery, a sound that shook the earth but not the rebels' resolve. For months, the siege wore on, the castle a lonely bastion against the shogunate's might. Picture the winter within Hera's walls, the air bitter, the fires small and sputtering, the rations reduced to scraps of dried seaweed and boiled roots. Families huddled in makeshift shelters, their breaths visible, their voices soft with hymns or whispered encouragements. The rebels fought bravely, repelling assaults with stones and arrows, but the shogunate's forces tightened their grip, cutting off supplies, their encampments a sea of banners stretching across the hills. The rebels' hope, once aflame, flickered in the face of hunger and cold, yet they held fast, their leader Shiro a symbol of their fleeting dream. In February 1638, the end came. The shogunate's army breached the castle, its walls crumbling under a final assault. The aftermath was a somber tableau, the ground littered with the fallen, the air heavy with the scent of smoke and sea. The rebels, outnumbered and exhausted, could not withstand the tide. Amakusa Shiro was among the last, his life extinguished, his vision of deliverance unfulfilled. The shogunate's victory was absolute, the castle reduced to ruins, its survivors scattered or silenced. The rebellion's toll was heavy, tens of thousands lost, their names unrecorded, their cause a memory carried only in whispers. The consequences of Shimabara rippled far beyond Kyushu. The shogunate, Christianity was all but eradicated, its followers driven deeper underground, their icons burned, their priests expelled. Foreign trade, already restricted, was further curtailed, with Japan closing its doors to the outside world, a policy of isolation that would last centuries. The daimyo of Shimabara was replaced, his failures a cautionary tale, and taxes, though still heavy, were adjusted in some regions to prevent further unrest. The rebellion became a shadow in the shogunate's memory, a reminder that even a peaceful order could fracture under the weight of suffering. As we reflect on the Shimabara rebellion, we see a moment of defiance born of desperation, a spark that flared briefly before fading into the quiet of history. The hills of Shimabara grew green again, the fields replanted, the villages rebuilt. But the memory of those who rose and fell lingered, like the echo of a temple bell in the morning mist. Their story is not one of triumph, but of resilience, a testament to the human spirit's quiet strength, even in the face of an unyielding world. And so, we leave the somber fields of Shimabara and turn to a gentler aspect of Edo, Japan, one that sought to heal rather than harm. Let us explore the world of Edo medicine, where acupuncture, herbalism, and ancient wisdom wove together to mend body and spirit, offering solace in a time of hardship. As the somber echoes of the Shimabara rebellion fade into the windswept hills of Kyushu, we turn our attention to a quieter, more restorative aspect of Edo Japan, a world dedicated not to conflict, but to healing. In the villages and cities of the 17th century, where life was shaped by the rhythms of labor and duty. The art of medicine offered solace to those worn by toil or touched by ailment. This was the realm of acupuncture, herbalism, and ancient wisdom, a blend of Chinese traditions and Japanese ingenuity that sought to mend both body and spirit. Imagine yourself stepping into a small apothecary in Edo, the air thick with the earthy scent of dried roots and the soft glow of a lantern casting shadows on bamboo walls. Let us explore the world of Edo medicine, a practice as intricate as a calligraphy scroll. Its methods a testament to the quiet resilience of those who cared for the living. Picture a narrow street in Edo, its wooden storefronts pressed close, their signs swaying in the evening breeze. The year is the 1660s, and among the shops selling rice and cloth, there stands a modest apothecary, its doorframe hung with a curtain of split indigo cloth. Inside, the air is warm and heavy, scented with the sharp tang of ginseng, the sweet musk of licorice root, and the bitter edge of dried mugwort. Shelves line the walls, stacked with ceramic jars and bundles of herbs, their labels written in careful ink. A low table holds a mortar and pestle, its stone worn smooth, and a set of fine steel needles, their tips glinting in the lamplight. This is the domain of the healer, a figure trained in the arts of Campo Japanese herbal medicine and acupuncture, whose knowledge was as vital to the community as the farmer's rice or the samurai's sword. The foundation of Edo medicine was rooted in Chinese traditions, brought to Japan centuries earlier through scrolls and scholars. Imagine a healer studying by candlelight, his eyes tracing the characters of ancient texts like the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's classic of medicine. These works spoke of qi, the vital energy that flowed through the body along pathways called meridians, and of balancing and yang, heat and cold, excess and deficiency. Illness, in this view, was a disruption of harmony, a river blocked or overflowing, and the healer's task was to restore its natural course. In Edo, these ideas were adapted, refined, and woven into daily practice, their principles guiding the hands of those who tended the sick. Herbalism, or campo, was the cornerstone of treatment. Picture the healer at his table, his fingers sorting through a bundle of dried plants: ginger for warmth, peony root for pain, cinnamon bark for circulation. Each herb was chosen with care, its properties known through generations of trial and observation. The healer might grind them into a fine powder, the mortar's rhythmic scrape filling the room, or steep them in hot water to create a tea, its steam rising in delicate curls. A farmer, his joints aching from years in the fields, might sip a bitter brew of willow bark and licorice, its warmth easing his stiffness. A merchant's wife, weakened by fever, might receive a decoction of ginseng and astragalus, its earthy taste a promise of renewed strength. The preparation of these remedies was an art as precise as the carving of a ukiyo-e woodblock. Imagine the healer weighing herbs on a small bronze scale, its pans swaying gently, or measuring water with a bamboo ladle, its handle worn smooth. Recipes, passed down through families or learned from Chinese texts, were tailored to the patient's needs, their symptoms a map of imbalances. A child's cough might call for honeysuckle and mint, while a samurai's insomnia might require jujube seeds and sour cherry. The apothecary was a place of patience, where jars were opened and closed with care, their contents a quiet symphony of sensorthy, sharp and faintly sweet, that filled the air like a whispered prayer. Acupuncture, another pillar of Edo medicine, was a practice of precision and subtlety. Picture a patient seated on a woven mat, her sleeve rolled back to reveal a pale wrist. The healer, his hands steady, selects a needle thin as a hair, crafted from iron ore. For the wealthy, silver. He cleans it with rice wine, its sharp scent cutting through the herbal haze, and maps the patient's meridians in his mind, seeking points where qi might be stagnant. With a gentle touch, he inserts the needle, its prick barely felt, and twists it slightly, a motion as delicate as threading silk. The patient breathes slowly, her eyes half closed, as warmth spreads through her arm, a sign that balance is returning. Acupuncture was used for ailments, both common and complex, back pain from hauling rice, headaches from market stress, or the lingering fatigue of childbirth. The healer worked with focus, his needles placed along the body's pathways, from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Sessions were calm, the room quiet save for the patient's soft breaths and the occasional chirp of a cricket outside. The practice was not magic, but method, its effects gradual, like the slow blooming of a chrysanthemum, and its practitioners were respected, their skills honed through years of study and apprenticeship. Yet, Edo medicine was not without its limits. Illnesses like smallpox or tuberculosis could sweep through villages, their spread swift and unforgiving, leaving families diminished and communities shaken. The healer could offer herbs to ease fever or soothe a cough, but some ailments defied even the wisest remedies, their toll a quiet tragedy born in silence. Surgical knowledge was limited, though minor procedures lancing boils or setting bones were performed with care, the patient fortified with sake or a numbing paste of cloves. Pain was a constant companion in these treatments, yet the healer's voice remained steady, his presence a comfort, guiding the patient through the ordeal with calm assurance. The training of a healer was a journey of dedication. Imagine a young apprentice, perhaps the son of a physician, kneeling beside his master in a cluttered study, copying recipes onto rice paper, his brush moving with careful strokes. He memorized the properties of hundreds of herbs, learned to read a pulse's rhythm, and practiced acupuncture on straw dummies before touching a patient. Some healers traveled to Nagasaki, where Chinese and Dutch traders shared their knowledge, bringing new herbs or instruments to Japan's shores. These exchanges, though rare, enriched Campo, blending foreign wisdom with local practice, a quiet evolution in a land wary of outsiders. Medicine in Edo was also a cultural act, tied to the spiritual and social fabric of the time. Picture a healer visiting a village shrine, offering rice and sake to the kami for a patient's recovery. The air thick with incense and the rustle of sacred ropes. Families might combine herbal teas with amulets, their faith in both the healer and the spirits a source of hope. In cities, apothecaries served all classes: samurai seeking relief from sword training strains, merchants battling indigestion from rich meals, farmers nursing injuries from the harvest. The healer's shop was a crossroads, its doors open to those who sought care, its remedies a thread connecting the hierarchy's divides. The legacy of Edo medicine lies in its balance of tradition and adaptation, its methods a reflection of a society that valued harmony in all things. To sit in the apothecary, surrounded by jars of herbs and the soft clink of needles, was to witness a quiet alchemy where knowledge and compassion worked as one. The healer's art was not to conquer illness, but to guide the body back to its natural rhythm, a task as humble and profound as the turning of the seasons. And so, we leave the soothing world of Edo medicine and turn to another layer of this intricate society, the lives of women, whose roles, though often unseen, were vital to the fabric of village and city alike. Let us explore the place of women in Edo, Japan. Their stories of resilience and quiet strength, a testament to the human spirit within a world of tradition. As the soothing scents of the apothecary fade into the quiet hum of Edo's healing arts, we turn our attention to a vital, yet often unseen thread in the tapestry of 17th century Japan, the lives of women, whose roles wove strength and resilience into the fabric of village and city alike. In a society bound by hierarchy and tradition, women navigated a world of duty, creativity, and quiet influence, their contributions shaping households, communities, and even the culture itself. Imagine yourself stepping into their world, where the air is scented with rice, steam, and plum blossoms, and every task carries the weight of expectation. Let us explore the place of women in Edo, Japan. Their stories a gentle reminder of the human spirit's enduring grace within a world of constraint. Picture a village home at dawn, its thatched roof glistening with dew. The year somewhere in the 1660s. The air is cool, heavy with the earthy aroma of damp straw and the faint smoke of a waking hearth. A woman, perhaps a farmer's wife, rises from a thin futon, her kimono of rough hemp tied with a simple sash. Her hands, calloused from years of work, move with practiced ease as she kindles the fire, the crackle of kindling blending with the distant crow of a rooster. Her day is a cycle of labor, cooking, weaving, tending a small garden of radishes and greens, yet it is also a cornerstone of the household, her efforts sustaining her family through the season's endless turn. Women in Edo, Japan occupied roles defined by their class, yet their lives were far from uniform. In the villages, peasant women shared the burdens of the fields, their figures bent beside their husbands in the rice paddies, their feet sinking into the cool, silty mud. Imagine her pausing to wipe sweat from her brow, her straw hat shielding her from the sun, the air humming with cicadas. She might plant seedlings in spring, harvest in autumn, or thresh grain in a courtyard, the rhythmic thud of her flail a steady pulse. Her labor was vital, yet her name rarely appeared in the village records. Her work, a silent foundation for the taxes that fed the samurai's stipends. In the cities, women of the merchant class led different lives, their days filled with the hum of commerce. Picture a merchant's wife in Osaka, her home a narrow wooden structure overlooking a bustling canal. She kneels at a low table, her abacus clicking softly as she tallies the day's sale-sake barrels, bolts of cotton, jars of miso. Her kimono, dyed a modest shade of indigo, is finer than the farmer's, but her hands are no less busy, weaving cloth or preparing meals for her husband's clients. She might manage the household's finances, her mind sharp with figures, or negotiate with suppliers, her voice calm but firm. Though merchants ranked low in the hierarchy, their wealth gave women like her a quiet authority. Their influence felt in the ledger's neat columns and the household's steady hum. Samurai women, by contrast, lived within the rigid bounds of Bushido and honor. Imagine a samurai's wife in Edo, her home a modest residence of polished wood and paper screens, the air scented with cedar and incense. Her day is one of discipliner, seeing servants, teaching her children calligraphy, or stitching a kimono for her husband's next audience with his lord. Her role is to uphold the family's name, her actions a reflection of her husband's status. She might write poetry, her brush gliding across rice paper, or play the koto, its plaintive notes drifting through the house. Yet, her life is not her own. A misstep could shame her family, and in rare cases, she might be expected to defend the household, her training with a naginata pole weapon, as precise as her calligraphy. Beyond these classes, women found other paths, some celebrated, others hidden. In the pleasure districts of Edo and Kyoto, geisha and courtesans crafted lives of artistry and allure. Picture a geisha in the Yoshiwara district, her silk kimono shimmering under lantern light, her hair adorned with lacquered combs. She moves with grace, her shamisen notes weaving through the air, her conversation sharp yet charming. Her training years of dance, music, and poetry was rigorous. Her role to entertain samurai and merchants with wit and elegance. Yet, her life was bound by contract, her freedom a distant dream, her beauty a fleeting currency in a world that valued the ephemeral. In quieter corners, women like Kaga no Chiyo, a poet born later in the Edo period, left their mark through words. Imagine her seated by a window, the air cool with the scent of morning dew, her brush capturing the fleeting beauty of a dragonfly or a moonlit stream. Her haiku, simple yet profound, were read across Japan, their rhythm a gentle echo of Mono no Aware, the pathos of things. Women poets, though fewer than men, found voice in Edo's literary circles. Their scrolls passed hand to hand, their verses a testament to the mind's quiet power. The lives of women were shaped by expectation, yet they carved spaces of agency within it. In the household, a wife was the keeper of harmony, her decisions from budgeting rice to raising children, shaping the family's future. Picture her teaching her daughter to sew, the needle's soft prick a lesson in patience, or telling stories of the kami by the hearth, the fire's glow softening the room. In villages, women organized festivals, their hands weaving lanterns for Oban, their voices rising in folk songs that drifted over the fields. In cities, women ran tea houses or bathhouses, their warmth drawing patrons, their gossip a subtle currency of influence. Yet, the constraints were real. Women could not own land, and their legal rights were tied to their fathers or husbands. Marriages were arranged, often for alliance or survival, and a woman's fidelity was a matter of family honor, its breach a shadow that could linger. Divorce, though possible, was rare and stigmatized, leaving some women to endure quietly, their resilience unspoken. Widowhood could bring hardship, especially for peasant women who might toil alone or remarry to secure a future. These realities, though heavy, were met with pragmatism, the daily rhythm of work and care, a steady anchor. The spiritual lives of women were rich, offering solace and purpose. Imagine a group of village women at a shrine, their hands clapping softly to summon the kami, the air thick with incense and the rustle of sacred trees. They offered rice or cloth, praying for a child's health or a good harvest, their voices blending in a quiet chant. Buddhist temples, too, drew women, their sutras a rhythmic comfort, their altars a place to honor the dead. Some women, widowed or childless, became nuns, their shaved heads and gray robes a symbol of devotion, their lives a quiet rebellion against worldly ties. The contributions of women extended to the arts and economy. Picture a weaver in a rural workshop, her looms clack a steady pulse, her hands creating cotton cloth for the market, or a midwife, her bag of herbs and charms at her side, guiding a mother through childbirth in a dim, straw-scented room. These women, though rarely named, were the sinews of Edo society, their labor and wisdom binding communities together. Even in the pleasure districts, courtesans wrote poetry or danced, their performances shaping the ukiyo-e prints that captured the era's spirit. As we reflect on the women of Edo, Japan, we see lives of quiet strength, their roles both defined and defied by the world around them. They were daughters, wives, mothers, poets, and workers, their days a delicate balance of duty and dreams. To walk in their footsteps is to hear the soft clack of a loom, the rustle of a kimono, the whispered prayer at a shrine, a chorus of voices that, though often unheard, shaped the soul of a nation. And so, we leave the intricate lives of Edo's women and turn to a different realm of knowledge, one that looked to the stars for guidance. Let us explore astronomy in Edo, Japan, where scholars and priests mapped the heavens. Their observations, a quiet dance of science and spirit in a world bound by tradition. As the quiet strength of Edo's women fades into the gentle rhythm of their daily lives, we lift our gaze to a realm that transcended the earthly bounds of village and city, the vast, unyielding canvas of the heavens. In 17th century Japan, where tradition and duty governed every step, the stars offered a map of both science and spirit, guiding scholars, priests, and farmers through the cycles of time. Astronomy in Edo, Japan, was not merely a study of celestial bodies, but a delicate dance of observation, calculation, and reverence, tying the human world to the cosmos. Imagine yourself standing on a hillside under a moonless night, the air cool and crisp, the stars a glittering tapestry above. Let us explore the world of Edo astronomy, where the heavens were both a puzzle to solve and a sacred rhythm to honor, their patterns a quiet song in a land of order and harmony. Picture a small observatory in Edo, perched on the outskirts of the city, its wooden platform raised above the clamor of urban life. The year is the 1660s, and the air is heavy with the scent of pine and dew. The night sky unmarred by the glow of modern lights. A scholar, clad in a simple kimono, kneels beside a bronze quadrant, its surface etched with precise markings. Nearby, a bamboo tuba, rudimentary telescope, rests on a stand, its lens crafted with care by artisans trained in Dutch techniques. The scholar's tools are modest, his scrolls of rice paper filled with charts and calculations, yet his mind is attuned to the stars, their movements a language he seeks to understand. The crickets sing softly, their chorus blending with the rustle of his brush, as he notes the position of a wandering planet. Astronomy in Edo, Japan, was deeply rooted in Chinese traditions, carried across the sea centuries earlier through texts like the Suen and the works of Confucian scholars. These teachings spoke of the heavens as a reflection of earthly order, their cycles tied to the emperor's mandate and the prosperity of the land. The shogunate, eager to maintain harmony, supported astronomical studies, tasking scholars with creating calendars that aligned planting seasons, festivals, and court rituals with the stars. Imagine a room in the shogun's castle, its walls lined with silk screens, where astronomers presented their findings, their voices low as they explained the timing of a lunar eclipse or the solstice's approach. Their work was not mere science, but a sacred duty, ensuring the nation moved in step with the cosmos. The calendar was the heart of Edo astronomy, a complex blend of lunar and solar cycles. Picture a scholar at his desk, surrounded by piles of almanacs, his abacus clicking as he adjusts dates to account for the moon's phases. The Japanese calendar, influenced by China's, required constant refinement, its months drifting unless corrected by intercalary days extra, months inserted to keep the seasons aligned. Farmers relied on these calendars, their rice planting timed to the stars' positions, while priests used them to schedule rituals, their prayers rising under specific constellations. The scholar's calculations were meticulous, his ink-stained fingers tracing the paths of Jupiter or Venus, their arcs a quiet mystery that demanded both precision and patience. Observatories, though rare, were places of quiet wonder. Imagine a temple in Kyoto, its courtyard open to the sky, where monks trained in astronomy watched the heavens through bamboo sighting tubes. The air was cool, scented with incense from the nearby shrine, and the monks moved slowly, their robes rustling as they adjusted their instruments. They recorded the stars' positions on star charts, their lines drawn with ink on mulberry paper, each dot a celestial landmark. The Pleiades, known as Subaru, were a favorite, their cluster a symbol of unity, while the Milky Way, called the River of Heaven, inspired poets and priests alike. These observations were not just academic, they guided navigation for fishermen and informed omens for the shogun's court, the stars a mirror of fate. The influence of the West, though limited, began to touch Edo astronomy in the 17th century. Through the port of Nagasaki, Dutch traders brought telescopes and astronomical texts, their pages filled with strange diagrams of orbits and lenses. Imagine a scholar in a dimly lit room, his eyes wide as he peers through a Dutch telescope. The craters of the moon suddenly sharp and real. These tools were rare, their use restricted by the shogunate's wariness of foreign ideas, but they sparked curiosity among a few, their lenses a window to a broader cosmos. Japanese astronomers adapted these ideas cautiously, blending them with Chinese methods, their star charts growing more precise, their calendars more accurate. Astronomy was also a cultural practice, woven into the fabric of daily life. Picture a village festival under a summer sky, lanterns swaying as families gathered to celebrate Tanabata, the star festival. The legend told of two lovers, the stars Vega and Altair, separated by the Milky Way but allowed to meet once a year. Villagers wrote wishes on strips of paper, their ink smudged with hope, and hung them on bamboo branches. The night air soft with the scent of rice fields and fireflies. Children pointed to the stars, their voices a gentle hum, while elders recounted tales of the kami who dwelled in the heavens, their stories a bridge between earth and sky. Priests, too, played a role, their rituals tied to celestial events. Imagine a Shinto shrine at dawn, its torii gate framed by a rising sun, as a priest offered rice to the kami during the solstice. The air was thick with incense, the chant of sutras blending with the rustle of sacred ropes. Buddhist monks, meanwhile, studied the stars to time their meditations, believing certain constellations enhanced spiritual clarity. These practices were not separate from science, but intertwined. The heavens, a realm where observation and reverence met, their harmony a reflection of Edo's ordered world. The astronomers themselves were a varied group: Confucian scholars, Buddhist monks, even samurai with a penchant for numbers. Imagine a young apprentice in a temple, his head shaved, his hands copying star charts by lamplight, the air cool with the scent of sandalwood. He learned to measure angles with a quadrant, to predict eclipses with tables, and to read the sky's patterns as one might read a poem. His training was long, his mistakes corrected with a master's gentle rebuke, yet his work was a quiet privilege, connecting him to a universe far beyond the shogunate's reach. The challenges of astronomy were many. Instruments were crude, their measurements prone to error, and cloudy nights could halt observations for weeks, the air heavy with rain and frustration. The shogunate's control over knowledge meant some discoveries were suppressed, their implications too disruptive to the established order. Yet, The astronomers persisted, their scrolls a record of patience, their charts a map of a cosmos they could only partially grasp. Their work laid the foundation for later advances, their observations a quiet legacy in a land that valued continuity. As we stand under the imagined stars of Edo, Japan, we sense the delicate balance of their astronomia practice that was both earthly and divine, practical and poetic. To watch the heavens was to seek order in the vast unknown, to find meaning in the silent dance of stars. The night sky, with its endless patterns, was a reminder that even in a world of hierarchy and duty, there was room for wonder, a space where the human mind could drift, like a lantern floating on a river, toward the infinite. Pause. Koto notes soften, blending with the faint sound of a night breeze. And so, we leave the starlit hills of Edo's astronomers and turn to a moment of transformation in Japan's history, a time when the ordered world began to fray. Let us explore the opening of Japan, a gradual shift sparked by the arrival of foreign ships, its ripples a quiet prelude to the end of an era. Music shifts to a low, contemplative shamisen, signaling the transition. As the starlit observations of Edo's astronomers fade into the quiet vastness of the night sky, we turn our gaze to the horizon, where the first ripples of change were beginning to stir in 17th century Japan. The Edo period, under the Tokugawa shogunate, was a time of deliberate isolation, its borders closed to the outside world, its people bound by a carefully crafted order. Yet, even in this era of seclusion, the distant sails of foreign ships began to appear, their presence a gentle but persistent challenge to the shogunate's control. Imagine yourself standing on the rocky shores of Nagasaki, the air heavy with the scent of salt and seaweed, as we explore the early opening of Japan, a slow, subtle shift that marked the beginning of the end for an era of self-imposed solitude, its echoes a quiet prelude to a transformed world. Picture the port of Nagasaki in the 1640s, a narrow harbor cradled by green hills, its waters shimmering under the morning sun. The year is early in the Edo period, just after the Shimabara Rebellion, when the shogunate tightened its grip, expelling Portuguese traders and banning Christianity. Japan's doors were all but closed, its foreign contact limited to a single, carefully controlled window. Nagasaki's Dejima, a fan-shaped artificial island built to house Dutch and Chinese merchants. The air here is alive with the creak of moored ships, the calls of dock workers, and the faint clink of porcelain crates being unloaded. This was Japan's only bridge to the outside world, a place where the shogunate's isolationist policy, known as sakoku, met the persistent pull of global trade. The sakoku policy was born of necessity and fear. After the turmoil of the Shimabara Rebellion, the shogunate saw foreign influence, particularly Christianity, as a threat to its authority. Imagine a council chamber in Edo, its polished wooden floors reflecting the glow of lanterns, where samurai officials debated in hushed tones. Their edicts, written on rice paper with careful brushstrokes, banned foreign missionaries, restricted Japanese from leaving the country, and limited trade to a trickle, all to preserve the nation's harmony. Ships were forbidden to sail abroad, their hulls left to rot in harbors, and those who defied the ban faced exile, or worse, their fates a quiet warning to others. Yet, in Nagasaki, the world could not be entirely shut out. Picture Dejima, a small island linked to the mainland by a single bridge, its wooden gates guarded by samurai with watchful eyes. Dutch traders, confined to this enclave, lived in cramped houses of wood and plaster, their windows facing the sea. The air was thick with the scent of tar and hemp, mingling with the exotic aroma of cloves and pepper from their cargoes. These merchants, employees of the Dutch East India Company, brought glassware, clocks, and books, their goods a curiosity to the Japanese who inspected them. In return, they sought copper, silk, and lacquerware, their ships departing with holds full of Japan's treasures. The exchanges were tightly controlled, each crate weighed, each transaction recorded, yet they were a crack in the shogunate's wall, a whisper of the world beyond. Chinese traders, too, played a role, their junks anchoring in Nagasaki's harbor, their sails patched from long voyages. Imagine a merchant from Fujian, his robe embroidered with faint dragons, bartering rolls of silk for Japanese silver. His voice, speaking a halting mix of languages, blends with the cries of gulls overhead. These traders brought medicines, like ginseng and cinnamon bark, and scrolls of Confucian texts, their ideas seeping into the studies of Japanese scholars. The shogunate permitted their presence, but only under strict oversight, their movements confined, their influence curtailed. Yet each ship that docked was a thread connecting Japan to a wider world, its cargo a reminder of what lay beyond the horizon. The Dutch, in particular, were a source of fascination and unease. Picture a samurai official visiting Dejima, his sandals clicking on the wooden bridge, his hand resting lightly on his sword. He inspects a telescope, its brass gleaming, or a book of European maps, its pages filled with strange countenance. These Rangaku Dutch learning items were rare, their import restricted, but they sparked curiosity among scholars and physicians. In quiet studies, away from the shogunate's gaze, men like Sugita Genpaku, a later Edo scholar, pored over Dutch medical texts, their translations a slow unraveling of new knowledge. These early encounters, though small, planted seeds of change, their roots growing beneath the surface of Sakoku's rigid order. Life in Nagasaki was a delicate balance. Imagine a market near the docks, its stalls laden with dried fish and rice, where Japanese merchants mingled cautiously with Dutch and Chinese traders. The air was thick with the scent of soy sauce and sea brine, the voices a tapestry of accents. Samurai guards patrolled, their armor clinking softly, ensuring no forbidden ideas, religious or political, passed through. Yet stories circulated, tales of distant lands, of ships that sailed oceans, of clocks that chimed with mechanical precision. These whispers, though faint, stirred the imagination, a quiet challenge to the shogunate's claim that Japan was complete within itself. The consequences of this controlled contact were subtle but profound. The shogunate's isolation preserved its power, keeping foreign influence at bay, yet it could not halt the slow creep of ideas. Dutch books on astronomy, brought in the 17th century, refined Japan's calendars, their precision aiding farmers and priests. Medical texts introduced new remedies, like quinine for fever, their effects easing the suffering of a few. These exchanges were tightly regulated, their impact limited to a handful of scholars, but they marked the beginning of a shifta world once closed, beginning to turn outward, like a lotus flower opening to the dawn. The true opening of Japan, of course, would come later, in 1853. When Commodore Perry's black ships arrived, their cannons, a stark demand for trade, but the seeds were sown in the 17th century, in the quiet docks of Nagasaki, where the shogunate's control met the persistent tide of the world. Imagine the harbor at dusk, the water reflecting the first lanterns as a Dutch ship prepares to sail, its crew casting off ropes, its sails catching the evening breeze. The samurai watch from the shore, their faces unreadable, aware that each departure carries a piece of Japan away, and each arrival brings something new. This early opening was not a dramatic rupture, but a slow erosion, like waves wearing at a cliff. The shogunate's order held firm, its hierarchy intact. Yet the presence of foreign ships was a reminder that no wall could stand forever. The people of Nagasaki, from merchants to guards, lived in the shadow of this tension. There lives a delicate dance between tradition and curiosity. To stand on Dejima's bridge was to feel the pull of two worlds, one rooted in the rice fields and temples of Japan, the other stretching across oceans to lands unseen. As we reflect on these early encounters, we sense the quiet weight of change, its ripples spreading slowly through a nation that sought to remain still. The opening of Japan was not yet a storm, but a breeze, its touch gentle but undeniable, a prelude to a future where the isolated world of Edo would give way to something new. And so, we leave the windswept shores of Nagasaki and turn to a different perspective, one that stood outside the ordered hierarchy of samurai and merchants. Let us explore the life of an ATA outcast, whose existence in the shadows of Edo, Japan reveals the resilience of those who lived beyond the edges of society's embrace. As the distant sails of Nagasaki's ships fade into the twilight, their gentle ripples lapping against the shores of a changing Japan, we turn our gaze to the shadows of Edo society, where those on the margins lived lives of quiet endurance. Beyond the ordered ranks of samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants, there existed a group excluded from the shogunate's hierarchy, the Eta outcasts, whose work was deemed impure, their existence a hidden thread in the tapestry of 17th century Japan. Imagine yourself stepping into their world, a place of toil and resilience, where the air is heavy with the scent of leather and earth, and every day is a testament to survival. Let us explore the life of an ATA outcast, a life apart from the polished halls of the samurai, yet woven into the fabric of a society that both needed and shunned them. Picture a narrow alley on the outskirts of Edo, far from the bustling markets and samurai districts. In the year 1660, the air is thick with the musky scent of tanned hides and the faint smoke of a small fire burning low. Your home is a lean-to of scavenged wood and straw, its roof patched against the rain, its walls thin and weathered. The ground beneath your feet is packed earth, smoothed by years of footsteps, and a single rush mat serves as both bed and seat. You are an Eta, a member of a community tasked with work considered unclean, tanning leather, butchering animals, or handling the dead. Your life is one of labor, stigma, and quiet defiance, a world apart from the farmer's fields or the merchant's stall. Your day begins before dawn, the air cool and damp, the stars still visible above the city's haze. You rise from the mat, your body aching from yesterday's work, and pull on a worn kimono of coarse hemp, its edges frayed but clean. Breakfast is sparse, a handful of millet porridge, perhaps a pickled radish, its sharp tang a brief spark in the monotony of your diet. The hearth, a small pit in the corner, glows faintly, its smoke curling upward, blending with the scent of the hides stacked outside. Your family, if you have one, stirs quietly, their faces etched with the same weary determination that marks your own. Imagine yourself in a small yard behind your home, surrounded by wooden frames where animal hides are stretched taut, their surfaces glistening with salt and ash. The air is heavy with the acrid smell of tanning, a mix of animal fat and oak bark, and your hands move with practiced rhythm. scraping the hides with a curved blade, the sound a soft, steady rasp. The leather you produce will become sandals for merchants, saddles for samurai, or bindings for scrolls. Yet those who use it will rarely meet your gaze, their deference to the shogunate's rules keeping you at a distance. The tasks of the ita were many, each tied to society's unspoken needs. Some among your community handled the dead, preparing bodies for burial or cremation, their work conducted in silence at the edge of the city. Picture a riverside plot, its air thick with the scent of burning pine and incense, where an ita arranges a wooden pyre, their hands steady despite the weight of their task. Others butchered animals, their knives slicing through meat in dim sheds, the air heavy with the Thames of blood and straw. These roles, though essential, marked the Ada as impure, their very touch believed to taint, their homes confined to separate districts, their children barred from mingling with others. The stigma of being Ita was a constant shadow. Imagine walking through Edo's streets to deliver a bundle of leather. Your head bowed, your path skirting the main thoroughfares. Samurai pass without a glance, their swords glinting, while merchants avert their eyes, their bows shallow and hurried. The shogunate's laws enforced this separation, forbidding Ita from living among others or wearing the same clothes. Your kimono, though clean, is plain, its color muted to avoid offense, and you carry no weapons. Your status, a silent sentence. Children might whisper as you pass, their words a sting, yet you walk on. Your resilience, a quiet armor forged by necessity. Yet, within this world of exclusion, there was community. Picture your neighborhood, a cluster of lean-tos and small huts, its paths worn by the footsteps of those who share your life. Here, families gather in the evenings, their voices low as they share stories by a communal fire, the glow casting warmth on weathered faces. Elders teach the young the secrets of tanning, how to soak hides in river water, how to mix ash and bark for the perfect cure, their hands guiding with patience. Festivals, though modest, bring moments of joy, a drum's steady beat, a dance under lantern light, the air scented with roasted chestnuts and hope. These gatherings, hidden from the city's gaze, were a refuge, a place where the ATA found strength in one another. Survival required ingenuity. Some Ata bartered their leather for rice or cloth, their transactions conducted in quiet corners of the market, away from the samurai's scrutiny. Others took on additional tasks, cleaning streets, repairing tools, their labor unnoticed but essential. A few gained skills in music or performance, their troops traveling between villages, their songs a fleeting escape from stigma. Imagine an ATA playing a bamboo flute, its notes drifting over a twilight field, the sound a small rebellion against the silence imposed upon them. These acts, though small, were threads of agency, weaving a life of purpose within the confines of exclusion. Laws bound them to their roles, their movements restricted, their marriages arranged within their own communities. Punishment for defying these rules was swift banishment to a remote village, or, in rare cases, a life cut short. Though such measures were carried out quietly, their weight felt in the community's collective memory. Yet, the ATA endured, their work sustaining the very society that shunned them. Leather for armor, hides for drums. The labor of burial were threads in Edo's fabric, their necessity a silent truth beneath the hierarchy's surface. Moments of connection, though rare, existed. Picture a farmer, his hands rough from the fields, slipping you extra rice in exchange for a pair of sandals. His nod, a quiet acknowledgement of your shared humanity. Or a monk, his robes gray with dust, offering a blessing as you prepare a pyre, his words a balm against the city's scorn. These encounters, fleeting but meaningful, were like stars in a clouded sky, their light faint but enduring. The 8 lives, not of defiance, but of persistence, their days a testament to the strength found in the margins. You sit with your family, the scent of boiled millet mingling with the ever-present temps of leather. Outside, the city hums, its lanterns a distant glow, while your world remains apart, its rhythm steady, its burdens borne with quiet grace. This is the life of an Eta outcasta, life of toil and exclusion, yes, but also of resilience, of community, of finding meaning in a world that sought to deny it. And so, we leave the shadowed alleys of the Eta and turn to a final reflection on Edo, Japan, a contemplation of how its traditions, struggles, and innovations continue to echo in the world we know today. Let us explore the legacy of this era, its threads woven into the fabric of modern life, a gentle bridge between past and present as we drift toward rest.